Mark Bishop Show. Truly like a box of chocolates. You never know who you're going to meet. From business, lifestyle, and fun. Here's Mark.
And welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Mark Bishop Show. You know, gene therapy and gene editing are rapidly advancing fields that are changing how we understand and treat disease. Now, moving from managing symptoms to addressing root causes at the genetic level. That's what it's about. So today, for this episode, more than a dozen FDA-approved cell and gene therapies are available for pediatric patients in the U.S., with many more in development. Gene therapy has the potential to treat a wide range of conditions, particularly those caused by a single genetic mutation, as well as more complex diseases. All right, well, interesting over my head, but man, it sounds great. So we're fortunate to have Dr. Lindsay George. She's the Director of Clinical in Vivo Gene Therapy and an attending physician in the Division of Hematology at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Welcome, Doc.
Welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Well, you know, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, it's been a leader in developing and delivering some of the first FDA-approved gene and cell therapies for children. It must be pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting, both for the field, but it's also an exciting time to be at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia because there is so many people involved in this work here.
Well, okay, well, what is gene therapy and gene editing? Give it to us in simple terms, will you?
Sure. So the idea is you have a genetic disorder due to a genetic variant. And the point of gene therapy, simplistically, is to either correct that genetic variant, which would be gene editing, or to provide a functional copy of the gene that has the variant, and that would be called gene addition. And either gene editing or gene addition fall under the umbrella of gene therapy. Okay.
So how do these approaches, differ from traditional medical treatments that we understand?
Yeah, so traditional medical treatments classically require repeated administrations that oftentimes treat symptoms of a disease, but don't always, don't classically treat the underlying cause of the disease. So gene therapy aims to really get at the heart of the underlying cause of a genetic illness, which is, a variation in the gene itself. Mm-hmm. The other point about gene therapies is that most of them are a one-time therapy. And this, of course, differs a lot from traditional medicines. Patients that have genetic illness typically recurrently take traditional medicines repeatedly throughout their lives, whereas a gene therapy, in most cases, is a one-time treatment.
Well, it sounds, wonderful, doesn't it? But there are examples that for certain things, there's a lot more. There's rare genetic diseases. There's blood disorders, the sickle, hemophilia, metabolic disorders, certain cancers, inherited vision loss, all of these things. Is it all wonderful, or what are the negative sides? What are the downsides?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, there's over 20 FDA-approved gene therapies. There's many more in clinical development. Once the patients are treated with these therapies, we closely monitor them for safety. For the most part, these treatments have been very safe. We do sometimes have to use some medicines to make sure that the treatment is safe, typically in the early window after gene therapy. Mm-hmm. But overwhelmingly, the FDA-approved drugs are, as I mentioned, most of them are quite safe and, of course, have the potential to be completely life-changing for patients.
Marvelous. So how do they work inside the body? What goes to work once you do your thing? I'm trying to visualize how you do this.
Sure. So if you're directly giving the gene therapy into the patient, the critical piece is you have to have a way of delivering the gene into the body as well as you have to deliver that DNA to cells, the cells of interest. Mm-hmm. And that can be tricky. And so you could think about it as a delivery truck dropping off the DNA of interest to the cells.
Yeah.
So the most classically, the way the truck, so to speak, is the way you deliver the gene of interest is with a viral vector. So viruses are naturally pretty good at getting into cells, but of course we don't want them to be, the treatment itself to be infectious. So what we do is we take a virus, we remove the parts of the harmful parts of the virus, and then we insert the healthy gene instead. And then we use the machinery of that virus to drop off the gene of interest into the cell. And then the body will naturally clear the virus without it being infectious.
Oh, wonderful. Look, Doc, can you give me a real-world example of how gene therapy has changed a patient's life?
Sure. If I may, I might provide two general examples.
Okay.
One is a very specific case. Thank you. One is a very specific case, is a recent case here at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So there was a baby born with a very rare metabolic disorder. He was very sick, and researchers here at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and University of Pennsylvania developed a personalized gene editing treatment. So it was very specific to his mutation. He was treated with this experimental therapy at this point, and he has done great. He's thriving. He's doing well. We, of course, need to continue to monitor to make sure it's safe, but he's doing great. Uh-huh. And I mentioned this case because obviously it's really exciting for him and his family, but I think it's exciting for the field and hopefully for medicine because it shows you what's possible to potentially be able to develop a personalized gene editing treatment. That's one case. I'll say one that has reproducibly had success and it's really important for pediatrics is a gene therapy that was developed for a disorder called spinal muscular atrophy. Oof. And I mentioned this. Yeah, I mentioned this because this was previously the most common genetic cause of infant mortality. So, really devastating disorder. Kids would typically die within the first year or two of life.
Yeah.
And a gene therapy was developed for this. It's been FDA approved for almost a decade. And these kids are doing great. They're now in grade school. And, almost certainly would not have happened if they hadn't gotten treated.
Yeah, wonderful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And, the other piece, lastly, I'll just say is medicine kind of developed around this because we now have a way of identifying these children very early on newborn screen, which has allowed us to identify these kids early, treat these kids early, and optimize their outcome.
Thank you, Doctor. I hope I didn't catch you out of left field there. But it's good to hear positive stuff, you guys work your butts off. It's nice to share the positivity side of things, So, look, the future then of gene therapy looks like it's wonderful for patients and families for the future, right?
Yeah, well, it's certainly for the future, but it's also for the here and now. There's over 20 approved drugs. There's many more in clinical development. And so, where I see this going is it's taken decades to get us to this point. There's now a whole system, a foundation that we can build on to make this type of approach to treatment available for more genetic disorders. I think some of the directions we're going to go is we need to improve delivery, particularly to hard to treat tissues like the brain. And there's a lot of work in that space. And then the hope would be able to make development of personalized gene editing a reality.
Right.
But there are many more, promising aspects of gene therapy on the horizon. I'm just highlighting those two.
Well, Dr. George, you're a world leader in gene therapy, a physician scientist specializing in bleeding and clotting disorders, including hemophilia. And you're the director of clinical in vivo gene therapy at CHOP, one of our favorites we have on the show, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And you lead clinical trials, right? So, God, you must go to bed every night wondering how tomorrow is going to be. Did we win this one? Did we go down the right track? Is it like that for you in life?
Thankfully, not every night, but certainly some nights. But that's what drives you, right? You want to keep getting better, keep trying to find ways to help these patients. So I don't take that as a negative.
No, great work. It's wonderful to hear it. And also this includes, doesn't it, the world's, at CHOP, the world's first patient to receive a personalized CRISPR-based gene editing therapy for a rare metabolic disease. We're hearing a lot about this CRISPR jazz, right?
Yeah, there's great promise. Of course, there was a Nobel Prize awarded in CRISPR technology some time ago, and the little guy that I mentioned to you that was treated with a therapy is a variation of CRISPR. But there's also, I'll say too, there are other drugs that are in what we call late phase clinical development, meaning they're in clinical trial and are progressing to potentially being an FDA approved therapy using CRISPR technology. So we're increasingly seeing the clinical translation of the CRISPR technology to help patients, which is very exciting.
Isn't it ever? That's wonderful. Well, folks, I would suggest you go to chop.edu. This is the website, right? You could read a lot more. You know my favorite, grab a cup of coffee or tea or herbal or whatever in your podgies, your pajamas, and read all about it. There's a lot on the site, and you can catch up with it. But Dr. Lindsay George, thank you for your time, for coming on the show and the wonderful work that you're doing, and we wish you all the very best for the future.
Excellent. Thank you for your interest. Pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. There you go, folks. Chop.edu. www.chop.edu. And read all about this incredible gene therapy.
Join us again for another episode of The Mark Bishop Show. It's a production of Mark Bishop Media.